What's up everyone, my name is PlatinumHowler, coach of your Coquitlam Red Gyarados, and today I'm bringing you my Week 6 match of the PCL D-League versus Zeusifur and the Detroit Magnetons. You can see his team over on the right side of the screen. His two Z users are Landorus T and Articuno, and let's get this team builder done really quickly because I need to play this game right now. So as you can see, we are not actually leading off with our Tapu Koko for once, because we haven't even brought Tapu Koko to this game. Instead, I'm taking a very different route with my build, and I'll explain why. So, each of the last 3 weeks since I've made my transactions, my opponents have chosen to lead with their ground type against me. Week 3, it was Landorus I that was scarfed. Week 4, it was Crocodile that I believe was also scarfed. And then week 5 was the Gliscor that appeared to be a rather standard set. It wasn't scarfed or anything. We're not totally sure if it was offensive or not. But either way, if Zeusifur is going to make it 4 for 4 leading the ground types against me, then I'm going to capitalize off of that because I have Adrenaline Orb Competitive Melodic. Surf, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump is there for the extra power, for the extra powerful stab. I actually wanted to run Hidden Power Rock because I do think that there's a good chance that Articuno actually comes to this game. So Hidden Power Rock would have been nice to hit that thing. I don't even think it would have been an Oko for a 4 times effective Hidden Power. That's how bulky Articuno can be. But we're going to have to go for Hydro Pump because I need to make sure that I can KO a Mega Gallade when I get to +2. I need to be able to KO that from full. So that's why we're going with Hydro Pump. And I wanted Recover on the set. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me where I would prefer to have Hidden Power Rock over Recover. But I wanted Recover so that I can potentially be able to recover some health and then force Greninja to change his type to Grass type so that I can hit it with a super effective Ice Beam once it's hit me with a Grass Knot. And hopefully I will be able to live that. I think if he's Life Orb, it will be doing around 75% to me, which is insane, but it is what it is. So yeah, this is going to be my lead no matter what. I'm hoping that I have done well enough with the rest of my team so that I can bait him into leading with the Landorus so I can get some big damage off right away. Next on the team, we have our Staraptor, which is an excellent revenge killer in this game. I need something that's able to outspeed Protein Greninja and what else? Mega Gallade and Crobat, those kind of things that are really fast. I'm not playing around with the speed investment this week. I am jolly. I didn't need to be adamant or anything to secure knockouts on stuff that I wanted. I think a Jolly Staraptor here does just enough damage, just the right amount of damage as I need in this matchup. And then with enough speed to guarantee outspeed Hydreigon even if he is running max speed Scarf for whatever reason. So I'm fully expecting a physically defensive Jirachi to come in this game to check the Staraptor, to switch into Brave Birds or Double Edges or whatnot. He might even be Rocky Helmet for even more chip against me. So we have Final Gamut here so that we can get damage off against that if I predict it to be incoming. And then I have a win condition in the back that can set up against a defensive Jirachi set. Hopefully that should be able to put in a good amount of work. But until we can get that win condition in, we have our Heatran, which is going to be switching into Jirachi for the majority of the game. This is a very defensive Heatran, which is kind of, or especially defensive. Most weeks I've been bringing it kind of like semi-offensive. Last week was more physically defensive, kind of a weird set, but we have this to switch into the likes of Jirachi and Aromatisse. We want to be able to get rocks up to chip his team down, obviously. Lava Plume. So if this is coming in against a Jirachi that is clicking Wish, and he's going to want to maybe try to pass a Wish into like Mega Gallade or Landorus T, then having Lava Plume to do damage to them is going to be really nice because I will have the 30% chance to burn them. I can also set up a substitute, most likely in front of stuff like Aromatisse, Articuno. Although if Articuno comes, I will honestly expect it to have Hidden Power Ground. Honestly, Articuno is a decent bring against my team. Look at my team. 5 of my 6 Mons are weak to Freeze Dry. So like Freeze Dry, Hidden Power Ground, Roost, Toxic, like that's it. That's a good set. It can cause me a lot of problems. So, but yeah, we also have Toxic to complement our substitute. We can Toxic his bulkier Mons like the Articuno and the Aromatisse, and we can hopefully 1v1 them by doing that. Now, that win condition that I was talking about is going to be this Golurk. It's a Rock Polish set with Icium Z. Icium Z is specifically for the Hydreigon because Iron Fist boosted Ice Punch does not do enough to knock it out. So if I need the power boost from the Z Crystal to knock it out, then that's what I will go for. This can come in against the Jirachi, click Rock Polish for free, and hopefully be able to do a lot of damage to his team afterwards. I have enough speed to, after a Rock Polish, I will outspeed any Scarfers that he is creeping to outspeed Tapu Koko. Of course, there's a very good chance that any Scarfer that he might bring will have more speed to outspeed this Golurk even when it's at +2. But that's about all I can do with a Mon that only has base 55 speed. So yeah, we're gonna rock with this Golurk set. Golurk coming to 3 out of 4 matches that we've had it on the roster for. How about that? Golurk, honestly, underrated Mon. It can put in a lot of work in a lot of different games. Next we have Megaladios. It's gonna be more of a defensive set. To be able to switch in to the likes of Mega Gallade, can do damage to it with Shadow Ball, can defog away hazards from our side if we need Staraptor to have more rock switch-ins, for example. Shadow Ball, Draco Meteor are our 2 attacking moves. I believe Ghost plus Dragon hits the entirety of his team at least neutrally. I didn't need there was nothing that I needed psychic coverage for, so just Shadow Ball and Draco Meteor is good enough. Yeah, not much to say about this Latios. It's not a win condition set or anything. It's not a setup set. Just can come in and do damage to certain things. And last but certainly not least, we are finishing off with this Heat AF Serena set. I feel like this set is really heat. This is a Custat Berry Serena. Adamant, near max attack, able to do lots of damage to this team. But the reason why we have this set is because Greninja and Mega Gallade, those 2 Mons in particular, are extremely difficult for me to revenge kill. So if we can manage to get our Serena to drop to 41 HP or lower, we can pop our Custat Berry and outspeed Greninja and Mega Gallade for 1 turn and knock them out with either a Power Whip or a Hey Jump Kick. Power Whip does about like 80% to a regular Mega Gallade, and it's guaranteed to knock it out if it's at -1 from it using close combat. U-turn for pivoting because I can bring this in on bulkier stuff, like I can bring it in on Palossand, for example, and threaten momentum against it. I can bring it in against the Romatisse, do a lot of damage to it with Power Whip, or just U-turn out against things. And we have knockoff in case we use this to damage the Jirachi. I don't want to be using that to damage Jirachi. I want Heatran to be the switch in every time, because I feel like Jirachi is more than likely to carry Thunder Wave on its set. Something like Wish, Thunder Wave, Iron Head, you know, Paraflinch shenanigans with Serene Grace. That's the main concern of this Golurk set. Is it's like if he leaves the Jirachi in against me, he can just click Iron Head forever and flinch me down, and I'll never get the opportunity to set up. So hopefully I get decent luck in that regard. But it's a Jirachi. It like hacks is always a win con, right? So, and then another thing that I'm afraid of with this Golurk set is Water Shuriken Greninja, and that's why I felt like I had to have this Serena set, because if it gets to a point where he has Water Shuriken and my Golurk is in range and my Staraptor is in range, I mean, Staraptor is bound to get in range through like Rock's Chip, Rocky Helmet Chip. It's bound to be at some point put in range to die from Water Shuriken priority. And I don't have anything else to be able to knock out the Greninja, then it could just be a situation where it comes in and gets like 3 or 4 kills against me, and I don't want that. So I have this Serena here to potentially get a surprise kill on the Greninja, and that's could really help us in the long run. Queenly Majesty blocks Water Shuriken. Water Shuriken doesn't do any damage to me, so regardless of how little HP I have, if my Custap Berry is going to pop, I cannot be hit by any attacks from him, and I will be able to hopefully get rid of that Greninja. So that's going to be the team. Very crucial matchup this week. We have the potential to move into first place in our conference, and I know that Zeusifur is going to be gunning hard for this win, because he is in a very tight spot over in his conference. We are not in the same conference, but his conference is so far is looking much more competitive, and it's looking a lot harder to make playoffs on that side of the league. So he's going to be gunning hard for this, and we're going to have to be well prepared to take him on. So I will see you right back with the battle. Here we are back with the battle, and looking at the team that Zeusifur brought, there aren't really any surprises at all outside of the Palossand. I was not expecting the Palossand to come. I was more expecting Rotom Heat to come in that slot as a pivot into things such as my Staraptor and my Tapu Koko. But instead, he brings Palossand, you know, a ground type. Ground type's generally good against my team. People always like to bring them, but he does have a Lando T as well, which I was 100% expecting to come. Palossand, not quite as much. I have a pretty good idea of the sets he wants to bring on these Mons in my head. Like, I'm expecting some sort of a Life Orb Greninja with various coverage to hit my team. Super hard with Protein, stab everything. Fizdef Jirachi, as I mentioned in the team builder, to deal with the Staraptor. Scarfed Landorus, and Mega Gallade I was expecting, of course, and it's probably going to be attempting to speed tie my Mega Latios and just have coverage for my team as well. But hopefully I guessed right in a lot of the sets that he's going to bring, or I may not have as good of a matchup as I thought. But anyway, I am leading with Milotic, hoping and praying that he's going to lead with the Landorus, and the fact that I don't see the Rotom Heat on his side makes me feel more comfortable that he will in fact lead with the Landorus. Since I am expecting it to be Scarfed, there's really no drawback in leading Landorus against my team, because he can just Earthquake or U-turn out appropriately. But he is not going to lead with the Landorus, and he's going to lead with the Greninja and ruin my life and make me really, really upset. But anyway, I had a plan. If he led Greninja against Melodic, I was always going to click Ice Beam in case he wanted to go for a Grass Knot. He would turn into a Grass type and not be able to knock me out, most likely, and I'd get a lot of damage off against him with the super effective Ice Beam. But he is going to withdraw straight into the Jirachi as he goes for Calm Mind. And I saw leftovers and I thought, okay, this is probably still the Jirachi set that I am expecting. But it is not, because it is a Calm Mind set that has Hidden Power Ground for my Heatran, and presumably Shadow Ball for Megaladios, and I would think the last move was Thunderbolt, otherwise Staraptor would completely wall this. So I get actually quite a big chunk of damage off against him with one Lava Plume. No burn, unfortunately, but he is actually going to go for a second Calm Mind, which was definitely a misplay on his part, because he did not need that extra boost to knock out my Heatran, and me just being able to get more Lava Plume damage off against him is just helping me put it in range to dive to something else on my team. So Heatran is down early, and that is really not good, because I needed that to be able to switch into the Aromatisse and wear down his team from there. But my Staraptor, I'm going to be able to bring it in now and actually click Brave Bird and knock out the Jirachi. And the fact that he's going to bring in Greninja here makes me think, okay, this might be a Scarfed Greninja. So I bring in my Serena, knowing that an Ice move is coming, but because it's Ice Punch and not Ice Beam, it's not actually going to bring me low enough to the point where I can KO him with a high jump kick, or it's not going to bring me low enough to where Custap Berry will activate and I can surprise KO him with the high jump kick. So that's a bit of a problem for me. But he does go for the second Ice Punch, and Heart switches out, most likely because he is Scarfed, as I mentioned. That's a modest max special attack Hydro Pump, and that did absolutely nothing to this Aromatisse. And this Aromatisse, because Heatran is gone, I have nothing to break this. I have nothing to switch into this and break this stupid fat Drag Queen. It's just going to give me such... it's just going to be a massive, massive pain in my ass now. But thankfully, I am going to be able to chip my Serena down enough to the point where I can activate my Custap against the Greninja later on. I predict him to go for a Toxic against my Milotic, and that does just enough to bring me under 41 HP, so I can save Serena in the back for Greninja if it shall come in later on in the game. But I have nothing for this. I have nothing for this Aromatisse. Like, I want it to be able to save the Golurk to come in for free and Rock Polish up and all that, but I probably should have switched into that earlier instead of the Milotic, because I already know that the Milotic is never 1v1ing this Aromatisse. I'm basically just letting this Milotic get weakened for free, because I'm thinking all of this Milotic is absolutely useless now because he didn't lead with the Landorus. But I actually mispredict here. I was thinking that I might get the Golurk in for free on either a Wish or a Protect, but instead he goes for a Moonblast, and I'm going to miss my opportunity right here to double into the Milotic and get my +2 competitive boost and the +1 from Adrenaline Orb. I was actually debating clicking Ice Punch on that turn, and wasn't even in my head thinking, okay, I might be able to get my Milotic in here and get the boosts up. But he goes for U-turn, expecting me to switch out, but I actually just stay in and click ICMZ, because why not? Like, at this point, I need to try to do something crazy to catch him off guard to get back into this game. And he ends up switching in the Palossand, and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to do a nice chunk of damage. Boy, was I wrong. That doesn't even do 50% to this freaking Palossand, man. How bulky is this thing? It's just, I go for Shadow Punch, is going to be able to hit it harder than regular Ice Punch after my Z move has been blown. He just shores up, and heals all the damage off, and I'm thinking he's actually going to go for another shore up on this turn, but instead he just chooses to knock me out with the Shadow Ball. The inferior Ghost Ground type is going to be able to take out the superior Ghost Ground type just this one time. It won't ever happen again. You won't ever see that again, because Golurk is the superior Ghost and Ground type. But anyway, I'm going to be able to bring my Mega Latios in and revenge kill this with a Shadow Ball, get the Palossand out of the way, and of course, in comes this Aromatisse, which I cannot touch. All that I can do to this Aromatisse is click Shadow Ball, and that is not helping. It's that this Aromatisse is always going to be able to 1v1 my Mega Latios, always going to be able to 1v1 this Melodic that I switch in again. I don't have anything to switch into. What do I have in the back? I have Serena, which is Custap, and I need it for the Greninja. I have Staraptor. I don't want to switch the Staraptor in against anything. I need to try to get it in for free because it's already getting worn down easily enough by its own Brave Bird recoil. At this point, the only hope that I have of beating this Aromatisse is getting Staraptor in for free and seeing how much damage I can do with a Brave Bird against it. I'm basically just foddering off my Melodic here, waiting for him to knock me out. On the turns that he goes for Wish, I try clicking Ice Beam to see if I can get a lucky freeze against him, but I never end up getting a freeze. This turn, I predict him to go for the Protect, and I'm going to go for the Recover because I want to see if my Melodic can go down on a turn that he doesn't have a Wish coming up, because then he would just get all of that HP back. But it doesn't really matter because he's just going to be able to go for Wish on this turn and then Protect on the next turn and get all of that HP back anyway. So, oh man. The fact that I don't have Heatran to switch in and deal with this thing is really, really bad. I was counting on Heatran to always be able to 1v1 the Jirachi, and he brought a different set that I was expecting, and I wasn't able to do that. Heatran, man, why can't I ever rely on you to check the things that you need to check? It's really frustrating, honestly, prepping with Heatran. Not my favorite mon, I'm going to be honest, but anyway, Staraptor's in here, does a hefty amount of damage with that Brave Bird because this Aromatisse appears to be so specially defensive rather than physically defensive, but because it has so much base HP, it's still going to be able to survive that. Goes for a Wish and Protect, and it's just like, okay, he's just going to rely on killing me with the combination of just by me wearing myself down with Brave Bird recoil. That's how he's going to take me out. But he's actually going to switch out the Aromatisse here, which was probably a good play on his part. Just bring in the Landorus to fodder it off. He doesn't really need it to be able to clean this game up. Thankfully, Brave Bird is going to do over 50% even with the Intimidate drop. And we're going to be able to get another kill with our Staraptor. That's its second kill of the game and its 9th kill of the season. So I'm even if Staraptor has come in a pair of losing efforts, it's still putting in the work, and I'm very happy to see it just claiming lives every time it comes to a game. But anyway, the Greninja comes in here and confirms that it is a Choice Scarf set because it outspeeds my Staraptor and knocks me out with an Ice Punch. And now I'm bringing in my Serena for free and getting the surprise kill with the High Jump Kick, Custap Berry activating, and we knock out the Greninja, which was also really nice to see, but it's not really going to matter all that much because in comes his Mega Gallade now. His Mega Gallade also has Ice Punch. He's going to be able to knock out my Serena. And at this point, I need to hope that my Mega Latios can take 2 Ice Punches from the Mega Gallade and be able to KO with the Shadow Ball. And in my head, I'm thinking that Aromatisse is still at like 20% after taking that huge Brave Bird from my Staraptor, but I was forgetting that it had actually healed all of that HP back up, and he's actually up closer to like 80-85%. So there was no way I was ever going to be able to 1v1 the Aromatisse that he has in the back. Even if I was able to survive 2 Ice Punches from this Mega Gallade, In fact, I think that he had actually like an 85% chance to hit KO me right there with a couple of ice punches. So me hanging on with Latios and bringing that down to a 1-0 would have been rather miraculous. But either way, GG to Zeusifur. His links will be in the description, of course. We're going to end up losing this game 2-0 and falling back down to 500. So, what went wrong this week? Well, it started with turn 1 and the lead matchup not going my way. I'm honestly not really sure why he decided to lead with the Greninja over the Landorus, seeing as it appeared that the Greninja didn't even have U-turn, so it's not like he could guarantee get initiative on whatever I wanted to lead with. The only move that I saw from him was Ice Punch, so I'm not really too sure what other coverage moves he could have had for the rest of my team, and the fact that he didn't lead with the Landorus just meant that my Milotic was completely useless. It did absolutely nothing in this game because I couldn't get the boosts that I wanted, and honestly, that's on me for bringing such a a niche set that only works if he leads with 1 out of 6 possible mons he could bring to the game. It was a gamble that I wanted to take, but I shouldn't have taken if I were taking this match like super seriously, you know? Turn 1 not going my way right off the bat kind of caused me to lose focus in this game, honestly, and not think about what I needed to preserve to break that fat pink monster in the back he had called Aromatisse. Heatran, I don't know if there's any more that I could do. If I could have tried switching it out into either Latios or a Staraptor to be immune to HP ground, and then try to KO him with either a Brave Bird or a Shadow Ball after he went for the second Calm Mind. But in my head I was thinking, oh, he could go for either a Shadow Ball or a Thunderbolt to try to knock my Heatran out at this point. So trying to switch in either Staraptor or Mega Latios wasn't really a great idea because I might just take a whole bunch of damage on one of those. So I didn't want to do that, but maybe if I had, I would have been able to switch that in against Aromatisse later on. He couldn't Toxic me or do any damage to me with Moonblast at all. I could get Toxics against his team. I could set up rocks and weaken his team that way, and just be a general annoyance to him instead of Aromatisse being a general annoyance to me. But the other thing that I could have done was, instead of switching the Serena hard into the Greninja, I probably should have just gone into the Milotic, which I knew wasn't doing much at all. And instead of letting my Serena get super weakened by the Greninja, I could have used that as a switch into the Aromatisse after my Heatran had gone down, and I could have threatened massive damage against it with Power Whip. And had he might have been able to weaken me with some Moon Blasts and some Toxic Chip damage, and that's how I could have whittled myself down to get in range for the Custap Berry to pop against the Greninja later in the game. Despite the loss, and despite me not being able to take over first place in my conference just yet, there were still some positives that came out of this game. Custap Serena getting a kill was really fun to see. And I'm also really happy that Staraptor continues to get lots of kills. As I mentioned, it's at 9 kills for the season now, which definitely has it somewhere on the top 10 kill leaderboard. I couldn't exactly tell you where, but at this rate, if it continues to perform every time that it comes to a game, maybe it will end up as the league kill leader at the end of the season. That would be really cool to see. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe for future PCL D-League uploads. Next week, we are going to be taking on Aaron 2420 and his Calgary Infernapes. He was a replacement coach taking over for Ollie and the Basil Bastiodons. I know that's not how you say it. Basil Bastiodons. Anyway, we won't be taking on the Bastiodons. Instead, we'll be playing the Infernapes. This is going to be a really important match because Aaron is in our conference and he is currently behind us, so we need to try and pick up a win there to solidify our playoff positioning in the Gold Conference. Otherwise, we could be in some trouble down the stretch because we do have a very tough schedule in the last couple weeks of the season. So we will see you next week with our Week 7 match.